They don't pay $30 an hour for nothing. That's what I kept telling myself as I pulled into the gravel lot of Coyote Fuel and Go. My headlights swept across the weathered sign, the neon coyote flickering like it couldn't decide whether to stay lit or surrender to the darkness. The station sat alone on Highway 160, a solitary outpost in the vast emptiness of the Navajo Nation. Red rock mesas loomed in the distance, their silhouettes barely visible against the night sky. I killed the engine of my beat-up Civic and sat for a moment listening to the tick of cooling metal. The desert night pressed against my windows, a living, breathing thing. Out here, 30 miles from the nearest town, darkness had weight, substance. My phone buzzed. "Danny?" I answered, forcing cheer into my voice. "Miggs, you at work?" His voice sounded clearer than it had in months. Rehab was doing him good. "Just got here. First night. How you holding up?" "Better. Group therapy today. Talked about, the stuff with the car." My stomach tightened. "Danny, no, it's good. I'm owning my shit. That's what they say here." He paused. "You didn't have to take this job, Miggs. Not for me." I watched a moth batter itself against the fluorescent lights above the gas pumps. "It's good money. Besides, how hard can it be to run a register and watch people pump gas in the middle of nowhere at night?" Danny's laugh was brittle. "Just be careful, okay? Always am. Talk tomorrow." After hanging up, I grabbed my backpack and stepped out into the night. The air smelled of dust and gasoline, with something else underneath, something metallic and strange. Heat still radiated from the asphalt despite the late hour. August in Arizona never really cooled, just became slightly less punishing after sunset. The bell above the door jingled as I entered. The interior was exactly what you'd expect. Linoleum floors worn thin by decades of boots, shelves stocked with beef jerky and energy drinks, a coffee station that had seen better days. A dusty boombox on the counter played classic rock, the volume low enough that it was more texture than sound. "You must be Miguel." I turned to find a man emerging from the back room. Hank Yazzie looked exactly like his voice had sounded on the phone, weathered, substantial, with deep creases around his eyes that suggested he'd spent a lifetime squinting into the sun. His silver hair was pulled back in a short ponytail, and turquoise stones gleamed at his wrists. "Call me Miggs," I said, extending my hand. His grip was dry and firm. "Hank, owner, manager, and sometimes janitor." He gestured around. "Welcome to Coyote Fuel and Go. Not much to look at, but it pays the bills. Thanks for the opportunity. Not many places hiring at this wage." Something flickered across Hank's face, too quick to read. "Well, night shift's not for everyone. Last 3 guys quit within a week." "Their loss," I said with more confidence than I felt. Hank nodded toward the bulletproof booth behind the register. "You'll work from in there. Door locks automatically at 10 p.m. After that, all transactions happen through the drawer." The booth looked like a relic from another era, its glass webbed with fine cracks. A stool, register, and small desk fan occupied the cramped space. Not exactly comfortable, but it would do. "Training's pretty straightforward," Hank continued, leading me behind the counter. "Register's old but reliable. Gas pumps need to be authorized from here." He pointed to a panel of switches. "Security cameras cover the pumps in store. Panic button under the counter calls the tribal police, but they're about 40 minutes out, so don't panic," I offered. He didn't smile. "There are rules here, Miggs, important ones." I nodded, suddenly aware of the weight in his voice. "First, never sell jerky, tobacco, or Slim Jims to anyone with yellow eyes." I waited for the punchline. It didn't come. "Yellow eyes?" I repeated. "Like jaundice? You'll know it when you see it." Hank's expression remained deadly serious. "Second, if the pumps start leaking black fluid, not gas, something darker, lock the doors immediately and play track 3 on that boombox. Don't stop it until the leaking stops." I glanced at the ancient cassette player. "What's on track 3? "A chant. Old Navajo prayer." He waved away my question. "And third, most important, never answer the payphone." He pointed to a faded blue payphone mounted on the wall near the bathrooms. It looked like it hadn't been used since the 90s. "Does it even work?" I asked. "It shouldn't," Hank said flatly. "Any questions?" "A dozen." But something in his expression warned me not to ask them. "No, sir. No jerky for yellow eyes. Play track 3 for black leaks. Ignore the phone. Got it." He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Good. I'll be back at dawn to relieve you. Emergency numbers are by the register. Cell service is spotty out here, so don't count on it. After a cursory tour of the stock room and bathroom, Hank headed for the door. He paused with his hand on the frame. One more thing. Between 2 and 4 a.m., things can get strange. Just follow the rules and you'll be fine. Before I could ask what he meant, he was gone, the bell jingling in his wake. Through the windows, I watched his pickup disappear down the highway, taillights swallowed by darkness. And just like that, I was alone. The first few hours passed uneventfully. I familiarized myself with the register, organized the candy rack, and scrolled through my phone until the signal finally gave out. By midnight, I'd had exactly 2 customers, a local woman buying cigarettes and a bleary-eyed college kid filling up his tank on the way to Flagstaff. At 1:30 a.m., the bell jingled. A trucker built like a refrigerator lumbered in, his arms decorated with faded tattoos. A rattlesnake curled around his forearm, its diamond pattern disappearing under his sleeve. "Evening," I called from the booth. He grunted in response, making his way to the drinks cooler. As he bent to grab a Red Bull, something odd caught my eye. His shadow on the wall seemed wrong, longer than it should be, with strange protrusions from the head that looked almost like antlers. I blinked, and it was normal again. The trucker approached the booth, setting down the energy drink and a lighter. "Pump 4, he said, sliding across 2 20s. As I rang him up, I noticed a peculiar smell, like wet fur and something burnt. I breathed through my mouth. "Long haul?" I asked, making conversation to distract myself. "Always is." His voice was gravel and smoke. "You're new." It wasn't a question. First night. He pocketed his change without counting it. "Won't be many." Before I could respond, he turned and walked out. Through the window, I watched him fuel his semi. His movements were stiff, mechanical. When he finished, he stared directly at the store for a long moment before climbing into his cab and pulling away. I released a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. The digital clock on the register blinked to 2 a.m. "Things can get strange," Hank had said. I shook my head, trying to dislodge the unease that had settled at the base of my skull. Just road fatigue and poor lighting playing tricks. Nothing more. The bell jingled again. A woman stood in the doorway, her sundress white in the fluorescent light. She moved with an odd gliding step toward the jerky display, her back to me. Dark stains mottled the fabric of her dress. Oil, maybe, or... "Can I help you find something?" My voice sounded thin in the empty store. She turned slowly. Her face was ordinary enough, middle-aged, lined around the eyes and mouth, but something about her gaze made my skin prickle. She approached the booth, holding a package of beef jerky. "Just this," she said, her voice surprisingly melodic as she slid the jerky toward me. Our fingers almost touched. I caught a whiff of something rotten beneath flowery perfume. When I looked up to tell her the price, my words died in my throat. Her eyes had changed. The irises expanded, swallowing the whites, glowing a jaundiced yellow in the harsh light. Hank's first rule thundered in my head. "I'm sorry," I said, my mouth dry. "We're out of jerky." Her lips pulled back, revealing teeth too sharp, too numerous. "Don't lie to me, boy. Store policy," I managed. "I can't sell this to you." The yellow in her eyes flared. For a moment I thought she might try to break through the glass. Instead, she leaned closer, her breath fogging the partition. "You'll starve them," she hissed. Then she was gone, the bell marking her exit with a cheerful jingle that felt obscene after what I'd just seen. I sat frozen on my stool, heart hammering against my ribs. Outside, the pump stood silent under the buzzing lights. No sign of the woman or any vehicle. Had I imagined it? The yellow eyes, the teeth, the wrongness of her? I rubbed my face hard enough to see stars. Sleep deprivation had to be it. I'd been working overtime at the garage before quitting to take this job, running on fumes for weeks. To steady myself, I began counting the register. The familiar ritual of sorting bills calmed my nerves. When I pulled out the tray to check for larger bills underneath, something caught my eye, the corner of a photograph. I tugged it free. A Polaroid, faded with age. It showed Hank, looking much younger, standing beside, something that turned my stomach. The figure was humanoid but wrong. Too tall, too thin, its skin appearing to hang loosely as if it didn't quite fit. Its face was blurred, either by motion or deliberate smudging. Written at the bottom in faded blue ink, "Feeding time, 1999. I flipped it over. Nothing. The boombox switched songs, the opening notes of Don't Fear the Reaper filling the silence. I quickly tucked the photo into my pocket, suddenly certain I wasn't meant to have seen it. Outside,